Welcome to the deep dive. So you know how every season, the biggest warnings, they often come from the smallest, most unexpected places. Today, we're digging into a piece of internal alarm coming out of Kansas City that has completely changed how we view the defending champions.
This is a real signal flare, and it's not coming from the top down. It's from within the ranks. We're talking about a pretty urgent warning about the Chiefs' offense.
An offense that has looked, well, surprisingly clunky this year.
Yeah, that's the word for it. Clunky.
And the source of this alarm is the key. I mean, it didn't come from Patrick Mahomes. It didn't come from Andy Reid.
No.
It came from tight end Noah Gray, a reliable, low-profile player who historically never says anything controversial. He is the definition of discreet.
And when a player like that, a guy who rarely seeks the spotlight, steps forward, well, it means the situation is serious enough to override his natural tendency to stay quiet.
Right. He's basically confirming a systemic issue that up until now, analysts have only really been able to speculate about. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We need to unpack what this normally silent veteran revealed about the team's current state. And, more importantly, why his quiet voice carries so much more weight than any blaring headline.
And he gave us the quote that really set the alarms off.
He said, "The difference between where we are and where we should be is bigger than it looks."
That phrase, bigger than it looks, I mean, that is just profoundly unsettling for a team that sees itself as a Super Bowl contender.
It suggests that the stuff we see on the outside, the wins and losses, that they're hiding something.
A corrosive internal misalignment, something that demands immediate attention.
Okay, so let's start with the messenger himself. Why does a comment from Noah Gray hit the lead like cold water?
Well, think about it. If a star receiver who just dropped 3 passes in a game complained about alignment,
You'd ignore it. You'd call it an excuse.
of course. But Gray has impeccable credibility, precisely because he is not dramatic. His role, his demeanor, it makes his statement feel like a declaration of fact, not an excuse.
So he felt compelled to speak on this underlying fracture.
Yes, and that fracture is happening as the entire Chiefs' offensive context is, well, it's rapidly evolving.
You're talking about the pillars of trust?
Exactly. For years, Kansas City had these 2 unshakable pillars. You had Mahomes' genius, and you had the reliable, always open route running of Travis Kelce.
But we have to acknowledge the reality of the situation now.
We do. Kelce is aging. His route speed, his ability to instantly separate, it's just not what it was 3 or 4 seasons ago.
He's still elite, don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely still elite. But it means the offense is now increasingly dependent on the precision and execution of the secondary players, the supporting cast.
Guys like Noah Gray.
Guys exactly like Noah Gray. So if the execution of those secondary targets starts to falter,
Then the whole system, which, used to be able to just rely on Kelce bailing them out.
it becomes brittle. The whole thing becomes brittle. It just increases the risk exposure for Mahomes.
And that's the vulnerability Gray was pointing to. He didn't say, oh, we need more talented players.
No, not at all. He defined the core issue as a massive gap between preparation and execution.
So they practice the plays perfectly, they know the assignments.
Right, but they fail to translate that training into the high-pressure reality of game day.
And that failure to translate, that's what's so crippling, isn't it? It's not just a physical mistake. It feels like a mechanical failure.
It is. It's a systemic breakdown in rhythm. As Gray noted, this disconnect, it shows up in every single aspect of the game. It throws off route timing.
It disrupts Mahomes' natural cadence in the pocket.
Yep, stalls play development, and maybe most importantly, it just chips away at that essential trust you need to convert on, say, a critical 3rd down.
This is where we really need to focus, because the sources, they drill down on the microscopic stakes of elite football. I mean, we are not talking about missing a block by a full second.
No. The margin for error on a championship contender is, well, it's basically 0. To illustrate the kind of precision Gray is talking about, just look at the technical consequences.
Okay.
A route delay of just a half step. The width of a shoe, that can be the difference between a tightly contested completion
And a pick 6 that changes the whole game.
and an interception that shifts momentum entirely.
Yeah.
Think about that. A player running a crossing route, he needs to be at a specific coordinate on the field at the exact moment Mahomes finishes his 3rd step and releases the ball.
And if he's a half step late?
The defender is now in position to make a play on the ball. It's that simple.
And it's the same for the offensive line.
Of course. A late block, and by late I mean a blocker arriving a fraction of a second after the defensive end initiates contact, That's not a minor delay.
That's a sack.
It results in a devastating sack, or worse, a turnover because Mahomes gets hit mid-throw. This micro-timing just kills the macro drive.
And then there's a wrong read by just one receiver.
Oh yeah, say he cuts outside instead of slightly inside. That can completely kill an entire play design because it just removes one of Mahomes' options on the progression.
Forcing him to scramble or just throw it away.
It's the butterfly effect in real time. And Gray is perfectly positioned to see all these technical failures because of his role. He's the safety valve.
Right. His job isn't to be the big downfield threat.
No, his job is to be where Mahomes needs him to be when the initial reads fail. Usually on those short and intermediate routes, it requires a near telepathic connection.
So what are the specific technical failures he's seeing in that critical safety net role?
He pointed to 3 key breakdowns in that essential connection with Mahomes. First, when Mahomes is ready to throw, Gray isn't consistently hitting his landmark, that ideal spot on time.
Okay, so a timing issue.
A huge timing issue.
Yeah.
Second, even when Gray does execute a clean separation, the ball isn't arriving perfectly timed or placed.
So they're miscommunicating the completion of the play.
Right.
And what's the third fail?
The third one is probably the most concerning for the playoffs. Those vital emergency reads.
You mean when the play breaks down?
When the pocket collapses, the play breaks down, chaos ensues. You need that instantaneous, unspoken alignment. And Gray sees that emergency flow, that necessary confidence, just breaking down again and again.
That sounds like a complete breakdown in synchronization.
It is.
Which brings us to the crucial distinction that the sources really emphasized. Gray's warning is clear. This is not a talent issue.
No, they have the players.
This is an alignment issue.
And that difference is massive from a management standpoint. If the problem were talent, you'd need to restructure contracts, you'd make big trades, or just wait for the draft.
The alignment.
Alignment is fixable, but it's only fixable through intense communication, dedicated practice time focused solely on precision, and absolute technical buy-in from every single player.
But isn't it concerning that this type of foundational timing issue, something that really should have been resolved in September, is still plaguing them now in November?
It is.
Doesn't the fact that it persists suggest a deeper, maybe cultural or coaching difficulty in getting that sync?
It definitely raises serious questions about urgency. I mean, Gray's ultimate point is that a championship team should be operating like a Swiss watch by week 11.
Right.
The fact that they still feel disjointed suggests that the urgency that the players are feeling is not yet fully translating into corrected execution on Sundays.
And the clock is absolutely ticking. I mean, let's just look at the timeline of the season to see why the alert level, as we're calling it, is peaking right now.
Okay, so weeks 1 through 4, those were defined by inconsistent wins. The offense looked clunky. They were trying to figure out the identity of the new receiver.
They were winning, but it wasn't dominant.
Not at all. Then, weeks 5 through 7, the defense had to basically become the hero, carrying the team completely while the offense just struggled to sustain drives.
Relying on field goals, short yardage stuff.
Exactly. Then you get to weeks 8 through 10, and injuries, even minor ones, just disrupted any semblance of rhythm they were trying to build. The offense couldn't put 4 solid quarters together.
And now we're past week 11, and the whole competitive environment is shifting dramatically.
That external pressure is so crucial. It's not just the Chiefs fighting themselves anymore. Their AFC rivals are rounding into form. They're solidifying their playoff positions.
You're facing the increasing threat of the Ravens with their devastating running game and that defensive structure.
Which will exploit a struggling offense.
And then the speed of the Dolphins. Their quick strike attack means the Chiefs cannot afford drives that stall out because of timing issues.
No, if they have to rely on their defense for 4 quarters against Miami, they're going to lose.
And you still got the Bills, who, despite their own struggles, are always a high-stakes threat.
And the Jaguars, who are proving they're ready to compete for a top seed. The margin for error is shrinking by the week.
The playoffs, as our sources stressed, do not forgive timing issues. They amplify them.
Oh, they do. If the Chiefs go into January struggling to execute simple routes and blocks, opponents are going to scheme specifically to exploit that microscopic failure.
And Mahomes, I mean, he might be the greatest player in the sport.
But he cannot successfully drag an inconsistent offense through February? Not if he's losing key options because of poor alignment.
So if that synchronization between him and players like Gray is off, the whole offense becomes reliant on last-second improvisation.
Which is just unsustainable in a playoff run against top-tier defenses. It's not a winning formula.
So the internal mood isn't chaos, it's not panic.
No, it's high alert. It's that veteran-level understanding that they have the talent. But if this execution gap isn't closed right now,
The whole trajectory of their season, which is Super Bowl or bust, will be irrevocably altered.
Gray exposed a difference that, it may look marginal to someone watching the game on television, maybe just a handful of missed routes or a few extra sacks.
Field.
On the field, that difference between potential and reality is huge, and it's threatening their core competitive identity.
And that really is the core takeaway from this deep dive. The small crack in the foundation, pointed out by the quietest voice in the locker room, is actually a colossal structural flaw.
Yeah.
It illustrates perfectly that in elite team sports, the margin between winning a championship and crashing out early is often invisible, until an insider finally reveals that lack of precision.
And that leads to the ultimate question for you to consider as you watch this final push of the regular season. We've established that the issue is primarily one of microscopic alignment and technical timing. So how much of an elite team's success in the highest stakes games is dependent on achieving that flawless technical synchronization versus just relying on generational superstar talent like Patrick Mahomes to overcome any systemic gaps? Is precision or pure talent the ultimate decider in February?